Hello? Guys? Where is everybody? The family disappeared. There's nobody to tell me to stop playing video games. My family's disappeared. And there's no one to tell me to stop playing video games. Hello everybody, welcome to the Re-Review, the series where I get to replay and reassess games from my favourite gaming era. I'm Brian, also known as UKGN Zoidberg, and I'd like to wish everybody watching a very happy Christmas. We've reached the end of a third year for the Re-Review, and that means that it's time for another festive edition. In previous years, at this time, I've discussed both the Dizzy series and my own personal top 10 from my days on Amiga Action, but I've not actually talked about anything that was particularly seasonal. So for this year, I decided to look again down the list of games that I reviewed back on the days of Games X to see if there was anything particularly Christmassy. And one game in particular jumped right off the list. So join me as I go back and replay the video game of Home Alone, which was published by Capstone Software and developed by Manley and Associates in 1991.
Hey, has anybody told you about the VIP memberships that we do right here on the channel? Not only will you get early access to most of the videos that we post, you'll also get exclusive access to full reruns of any live streams that we do, plus exclusive membership content. You'll even get one of these little badges that you can put on your name whenever you comment on anything, just to show people how long you've been a member for. If that sounds like something that might be of interest to you, it's only £1.99 a month, and you can find full details of how you can become a member in the video description, or just click the link on screen right now. You'll even get to help us choose what games we cover in future episodes of both the Re-Review and Retro Game Super Leagues. So why not check it out? For now though, let's get back to the video.
As much as I love gaming, my passion for movies is probably just as strong. From the day that I passed my driving test back at the age of 17, and for many years after, I would drive to the cinema almost every week. And every time I went, I would pretty much watch something new every time. For me, the worlds of video games and movies have always been intrinsically linked, all the way up to today. Although you rarely see them today, back in the 80s and 90s, games based on movies were big business, and all of the major software houses and developers would fight each other for the rights to the latest upcoming blockbusters. Almost every big movie that you could think of from that time probably had a game based on it, and even some of the smaller ones too. We're looking at you, cool world. Ocean Software were, of course, responsible for some of the biggest, with their game of Robocop actually becoming the biggest selling video game of the 1980s right here in the UK. But they weren't the only ones. Mirrorsoft had great success with games based on the second and third films in the Back to the Future trilogy. US Gold produced many games based on the Indiana Jones series as well as The Godfather. And Virgin had a long-standing relationship with Disney that produced the likes of Aladdin and The Lion King. Even Psygnosis got in on the act after they partnered with Sony, although the less said about the Amiga versions of Last Action Hero, Bram Stoker's Dracula and Cliffhanger, the better. One lesser-known name was Florida-based Capstone Software, who were an offshoot of publisher Intracorp. Founded in 1984, they made a name for themselves producing home-based casino games, including a trilogy officially carrying the name of a certain incoming US president. They also produced games based on popular novels from the likes of Tom Clancy and Stephen King. After producing a game based on the TV series Miami Vice for the PC and Atari ST, not to be confused with the Ocean Software produced Miami Vice game that came out on the Commodore 64, they began to acquire the licenses for a few smaller upcoming movies. While the terrible action movie The Taking of Beverly Hills failed to make an impact as either a movie or a game, they found themselves having great success when Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure was a surprise success at the box office, leading to people actually wanting to play the game as well. This was swiftly followed with the license to a new little family comedy that was coming soon from writer John Hughes, Home Alone. Of course, today we all know Home Alone as the monster hit that grossed almost $500 million worldwide from a budget of just $18 million. It also spent an unprecedented 12 weeks in the #1 position at the US box office. Naturally, this meant that the game was also a massive hit, although depending on which system you played it on, the games were actually quite different. The versions that appeared on Nintendo systems were made by Bethesda and Imagineering, with Sega handling the Mega Drive version themselves. The PC and Amiga versions, which is the one that I'm going to be replaying today, was made by Manley and Associates, who were probably most well known at the time for having produced an adventure game based on Aliens for the Commodore 64. A game based on the sequel, Home Alone 2 Lost in New York, would come just 1 year later, and was essentially more of the same. Capstone would then go on to produce games based on Wayne's World, The Beverly Hillbillies and Surf Ninjas, before they finally closed their doors in 1996. Now let's check what I said about Home Alone first time around in my original review. My review appeared in issue 31 of Games X from November 1991. This was the same issue as my reviews of both Police Quest 3 and First Samurai, games which I have covered previously in earlier episodes of the re-review. It's safe to say that 17-year-old me was not a fan of the film, and I chose the fact that I was reviewing the game as an opportunity to reveal my feelings to the world. I stated that I thought that the game was actually better, although only just. I thought that the 3 in-game characters were all nicely animated, and the choice of going with a cartoon style worked well, particularly with the humorous animations that would follow every time Harry or Marv would set off one of your traps. I wasn't a fan of the sound though, stating that the music grated after less than a minute, and that the sound effects were too sparse to be worth mentioning. As it was a multi-format review for both the PC and Amiga versions simultaneously, I actually pointed out that I preferred the Amiga version, as that one allowed you to play it with a joystick. If you like the movie, then you will undoubtedly enjoy this game, as it matches the same low standard. I'd look elsewhere for a much higher quality title. Overall, I awarded it 3 X's out of 5, with both gameplay and lastability earning 10 out of 20, with presentation faring slightly better with 12 out of 20. Out of all the other reviews that I could find, of which there were only 2, my score was actually the highest. Now it's time to play the game again and see how it fares today. It's time for the playtest.
Right, so here we go. The game essentially comes in 2 parts. One where you get an hour from 8 till 9 PM game time to set up all the traps, and then as soon as it turns to 9 PM you have to then protect the house from the intruders. Quite simple controls: run left and right with fire to jump. Unfortunately, in order to pick up and use items you have to press the F keys. So you have to actually be sat quite close to your keyboard in order to do that. Controls don't really work that well, to be honest. This is a typically large American house. So here we are in the kitchen. Let's pick up this bag of flour. Where can I put that? I can put it in the cupboard up there. Can I put it above the doorway? Yes, I can. I'll put the paint in the chute here, I think. Oh no, it won't let me. I think I'm going to try and set up these traps pretty much where they would have been in the film. I'm just going to stick this on the handle of the front door. There we go. And then what I need to do is I need to go upstairs and try and find the BB gun, because I will require that. So there is the BB gun. I need to make sure that I have that when the time turns to 9. I've so far managed to set up 14 traps, so they're going to be in for... Harry and Marv are certainly going to be in for a little bit of punishment when they do eventually break in. Or at least that's the theory. Because what I actually have to be careful of when it gets to the second part is that I don't set off the traps myself. I definitely don't think that the graphics in this game are terrible. I mean they probably could be smoother, but there's definitely a clarity to them that a lot of other games don't manage. Have I got time to set up one more trap? Right, so what do we do now? Let's Let's wait in the kitchen. So here we go, 9 PM. That hour of game time only took 10 minutes. So now you get to see where Harry and Marv are by their on-screen indicator. So, oh, there they go. Marv is in the kitchen. Harry is after me in the hallway. That's 2 traps that have hit Harry so far. 3, yes, we're doing quite well. It's a shame that everything slows down so much when it gets to this point. I don't know how you fire the BB gun. Perhaps I should have read the controls before I started playing. Oh, I broke one of the traps myself by walking on it. Apparently pressing enter on the keyboard fires the gun. Can I jump past him? Yes, I can. That's good, because otherwise I would have been in a dead end there. Oh no! Oh no, there's Marv! I'm gonna get caught. And there we go, they caught me. And unfortunately, you have now just seen the entirety of the game, because that is all you do. It's set up the traps, then survive as long as you can. Okay, so when I've restarted the game, it started me back in the attic again, which is where I got caught. So literally, that's all that you do in the game. There's not a huge amount of variety to it. I mean, I suppose each time you play it, you could try laying the traps in different places, but that's about all variety you're going to get out of the gameplay. What you can actually do is you don't actually have to wait till 9 PM. You can press the N key on the keyboard at any point to just instantly advance when you feel like you've set up enough traps. But I think as a concept, it's actually not that bad, because they could have made this game work by actually having it as a point-and-click adventure, which you controlled in the mouse in the same style as something like Monkey Island, because all you're doing is picking up items and using them in the right place, and that is exactly what an adventure game would be. So if only the makers of the game had actually thought to include that kind of control method, we would have been fine. We certainly would have been left with a game a lot better than what we do have. Oh, and I've been caught again. So that's going to throw me all the way back to the start once again. So I think that's going to be a decent place to end this playtest. Let's move straight on to the final summary and bring you my final thoughts.
It would be incredibly easy for me to just stand here and say that Home Alone is your typical low-effort movie tie-in and leave it at that, but weirdly, I can actually see the potential for a good game in what the developers were trying to do. The idea of collecting items around the house and then using them in the right place is very much the structure of an adventure game, but unfortunately, by trying to execute it as an action game, it doesn't really work at all. Couple this with some truly bizarre controls that force you to use both the joystick and keyboard at the same time, and you end up with a game that is incredibly frustrating to play. The fact that you have to start everything again every time you fail feels like the developers were trying to artificially extend the game's lifespan, but all it actually did was make you want to stop playing altogether. There's probably no more than half an hour's gameplay here, and that's if I was being generous, and the fact that they expected you to pay full price for this game back in the day is frankly a bit of a joke. There are certainly worse movie tie-ins out there, but fans of the film deserve a game much better than this one. For the record, my opinion of the film is actually much higher today. I'll be producing a full 2-part Retro Game Super League in January, looking at all movie-based games on the Amiga. So for now, I'll just show you how Home Alone compares to other similar adventure games, and that's not very well at all. I do actually prefer this version of the game to the versions that I played on console, and that's by virtue of the fact that it's a more interesting concept. Sadly, the botched execution of that concept is the reason why I'm only going to be giving it 3 out of 10 today. Thank you for watching this festive episode of the Re-Review. If you played Home Alone, I hope you had a better time with it than I did. And even if you didn't, I'd love to hear your thoughts about it in the comments. Or you could just tell me what your favourite game is to play around Christmas. As always, all the opinions expressed in this video are mine and not those of the UK Gaming Network team. I'm really excited about all the new episodes that I have planned for the new year, including some of the most well-known games on the Amiga. Don't forget that we are also now taking requests. So if you have any games that you would like to see us cover in any future episodes, you can email your suggestions to us at reviews@ukgamingnetwork.com. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to give us a like and subscribe, as it really helps us to continue doing what we enjoy. The fact that there are so many of you out there who also seem to enjoy it too is really quite humbling. So thank you to every single one of you. Until next time, happy retro gaming, hope you all have a great Christmas, and I'll see you all again in the new year. Bye for now.